Doctrine and Covenants 45 is what one early manuscript titled A Prophecy, given on March 7, 1831, to Joseph the Seer at Kirtland, Ohio. From the historical records, there is no clear event that precipitated this revelation or obvious question that Joseph asked to elicit this response from the Lord. So the backstory is unfortunately a little sparse. All we have by way of a preface to this section in Joseph Smith's history is this statement. At this age of the church, many false reports, lies, and foolish stories were published in the newspapers and circulated in every direction to prevent people from investigating the work or embracing the faith. One example Joseph gives of such libelous press against the church was, he said, that a great earthquake in China, which destroyed from 1 to 200,000 inhabitants, was burlesqued in some papers as Mormonism in China. Apparently, at least one article had mockingly blamed the China earthquake on a young Mormon girl who predicted the disaster 6 weeks earlier. The obvious intent of this false report was to mock the church's belief in prophecy and to thus prevent people from taking the church seriously enough to investigate it. But, Joseph said, to the joy of the saints who had to struggle against everything that prejudice and wickedness could invent, I received the following. From this brief preface, it appears that D&C 45 was simply a gift from a compassionate Lord who was reaching out to strengthen and assure his struggling, misunderstood, and misrepresented people with a revelation about the future, specifically about the millennial day. Now, it should be noted that the future, and specifically the millennial era, was already on the minds of church leaders and members at this season as a result of previous revelations recently received. For instance, 1 year earlier in March 1830, the Book of Mormon was published, wherein Jesus' second coming to a New Jerusalem was prophesied. Then, 6 months later, in September, the Lord revealed that the gathering of his elect to one place upon this land of America was a prelude to the millennial day, where he would dwell in righteousness with men on earth 1,000 years. Then, 3 months later, in December, while translating the prophecy of Enoch, it was revealed again that in the latter days the elect would be gathered from around the world to a holy city called Zion, a New Jerusalem, to prepare for Christ to come, together with the city of Enoch, and dwell on the earth in righteousness for the space of 1,000 years. Then, just over a month after that, in February 1831, the Lord promised to reveal the location of the city of the New Jerusalem, to which the elect would be gathered and to which the Lord would come. And then, that same month, he again assured the saints in Kirtland that he would return, and my people shall reign with me on earth, for the great millennium of which I have spoken shall come. So suffice it to say that from these revelations, as well as from the 8 times in the last 6 months he said he would be coming soon or quickly, Jesus' return and millennial reign was firmly on the minds of church members when Section 45 was given in March of 1831. And it seems they were not just thinking about it, but were hungry to learn even more. So that's the backstory as we understand it. Now let's look at the details of the revelation itself. Verses 1 through 16 constitute the Lord's introduction and invitation to church members at this time to hearken and give ear to him who laid the foundation of the earth, and by whom all things were made which live and move and have a being. His invitation is that they hearken unto my voice, lest death overtake you, and your souls not be saved. It is that they listen to him who is the advocate with the Father, who is pleading your cause before him. It is, he says again, hearken, O ye people of my church, and ye elders listen together, and hear my voice, while it is called today, and harden not your hearts. This is Alpha and Omega speaking, the beginning and the end, the light and the life of the world. He is the one who came unto mine own, and unto as many as received me gave I power to become the sons of God. That is, to become the children of Christ, and thus eternal heirs of his kingdom. Hence those that believed on my name gave I power to obtain eternal life. The way he empowered them was through what he calls in the next verse, mine everlasting covenant, which he equated back in D&C 39 with the fullness of my gospel, which he there further defined as repentance and baptism by water and the Holy Ghost. Thus it is by receiving the fullness of Christ's gospel, his everlasting covenant, that mankind are empowered to become the children of Christ and heirs in his kingdom. And at this season of time, he says in verse 9, I have sent mine everlasting covenant into the world, to be a light to the world, and to be a standard for my people, and for the Gentiles to seek to it, and to be a messenger before my face, to prepare the way before me. In other words, his everlasting covenant, like a beacon light or a hoisted flag, is to be the rallying point for both his people Israel and the Gentiles to seek to. And receiving his everlasting covenant is like receiving a royal messenger sent out to announce the coming of a king. To receive the everlasting covenant is thus to prepare to receive Christ the King. Wherefore the Lord invites, "Come ye unto it, and with those that cometh I will reason as with men in days of old, and I will show unto you my strong reasoning," he says. "Wherefore hearken ye together," he invites again, "and let me show unto you the wisdom of him whom ye say is the God of Enoch and his brethren, who were separated from the earth, and were received unto myself, a city reserved until a day of righteousness shall come." This part of verse 12 is a paraphrase of Joseph's recent translation in Genesis 14, which references the city of Enoch, which God had before taken, separating it from the earth, having reserved it unto the latter days, or the end of the world. Yet here the Lord is clarifying that Enoch's city was specifically taken and reserved for a day of righteousness to come. That is the millennial day, which now becomes the main topic of the remainder of this revelation. This millennial day is a day which was sought for by all holy people down through time. Yet they found it not because of the wickedness and abominations that prevailed in their societies. In the various wicked cultures in which they've lived down through the ages, the righteous have often felt like out of place strangers and pilgrims on the earth. Yet they have obtained a promise that they should find the millennial day of righteousness and see it in their flesh. But how could this be? How could the righteous who have lived through various ages of world history and have long since died see the millennial day in their flesh? "Wherefore hearken," the Lord invites one last time, "and I will reason with you on this point, and I will speak unto you and prophesy as unto men in days of old, and I will show it plainly, as I showed it unto my disciples, as I stood before them in the flesh, and spake unto them." Here the Lord is asking church members to lean in a little closer and listen to his plain and straightforward explanation of this mystery, which is actually an explanation he gave long ago to his disciples. In fact, what follows in the rest of verse 16 through verse 33 and verses 35 through 59 is a flashback to one of Jesus' last teachings of his mortal life when he sat with his disciples on the Mount of Olives overlooking Jerusalem. 3 different versions of this Olivet discourse are recorded in the Bible, in Matthew 24, Mark 13, and Luke 21. As recorded in the Bible, this discourse is complex, and its meaning is often contested among Christians. But here in D&C 45, Jesus says he will reason with his 1831 church and show it plainly to them. Here then we get a 4th version of the Olivet Discourse told by Jesus himself. So in verse 16, the flashback begins. What he spake unto his disciples on the Mount of Olives so long ago was this: "As ye have asked of me concerning the signs of my coming, in the day when I shall come in my glory in the clouds of heaven, to fulfill the promises that I have made unto your fathers. For as ye have looked upon the long absence of your spirits from your bodies to be a bondage, I will show unto you how the day of redemption shall come, and also the restoration of the scattered Israel." Note a few key things about this rather long sentence. First, that Jesus' announced purpose for his second coming and subsequent millennial reign is to fulfill the promises that I have made unto your fathers. These promises consist of a cluster of assurances made to the house of Israel in the Old Testament and center directly on this theme of the restoration of the scattered Israel mentioned here. The 2 major elements of these promises to restore Israel concentrate around 1, gathering Israel out from among the nations they were scattered to, so that 2, they can become part of the unified kingdom of Messiah, a powerful but benevolent descendant of King David, who will rule over all Israel as their shepherd king forever and ever. A second thing to notice in this sentence is that Jesus' disciples looked upon the long absence of their spirits from their bodies to be a bondage. They were likely dwelling on their own deaths because, according to Matthew 24, Jesus told them that before his return they would be afflicted, hated, and killed. So here, perhaps to counterbalance this sobering news, Jesus said, "I will show unto you how the day of redemption shall come." Note how this day of redemption, a reference to their resurrection, is closely associated here with the restoration of scattered Israel. these two themes are tightly connected in what Jesus is about to say. So, how will the day of redemption and the restoration of scattered Israel come about? The Lord explained to his disciples that before these would happen, the Jews would be destroyed and scattered among all nations, and the Jerusalem temple would be thrown down, that there shall not be left one stone upon another. But the remnant of the Jews, who will be scattered among all nations, shall be gathered again, but they shall remain until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. A reference, it seems, to the season in which the Gentiles, that is, non-Jewish or non-covenant people, retain dominance in the world. And in that day, apparently sometime during the times of the Gentiles, shall be heard of wars and rumors of wars, and the whole earth shall be in commotion, and men's hearts shall fail them, and they shall say that Christ delayeth his coming until the end of the earth. And the love of men shall wax cold, and iniquity shall abound. And when the times of the Gentiles is come in, the Lord explained, a light shall break forth among them that sit in darkness, that is, the Gentiles, and it shall be the fullness of my gospel. But, by and large, the Gentiles receive it not, instead turning their hearts from me because of the precepts of men. And in that generation, he says, that is, in the generation of the mass rejection of the fullness of his gospel, shall the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Some in that generation shall see an overflowing scourge, which is some kind of desolating sickness, cover the land. But my disciples shall stand in holy places, and shall not be moved. Whereas among the wicked, men shall lift up their voices and curse God and die. And further, there shall be earthquakes also in divers places, and many desolations. Yet men will harden their hearts against me, and they will take up the sword one against another, and they will kill one another. In verse 34, Jesus returns briefly to the 1831 present and tells church members in Kirtland that when I, the Lord, had spoken these words unto my disciples, they were troubled. And I said to them, now he here flashes back to his words some 1800 years earlier on the Mount, be not troubled, he told his disciples, for when all these things shall come to pass, ye may know that the promises which have been made unto you shall be fulfilled. In other words, although these predictions were quite distasteful and grisly on the one hand, they were also key indicators on the other hand that the promises made to Israel were getting closer to being fulfilled. And when the light shall begin to break forth, meaning the light of the fullness of the gospel referenced back in verse 28, which will break forth among the Gentiles, it shall be with them like unto a parable, which I will show you. Ye look and behold the fig trees, he said, and ye see them with your eyes, and ye say when they begin to shoot forth and their leaves are yet tender, that summer is now nigh at hand. Even so it shall be in that day, when they shall see all these things, then shall they know that the hour is nigh. So in this parable, summer represents the millennial day, which is also referred to in this section as the day of righteousness, the day of redemption, and the great day of the Lord. And the leaves shooting forth on the fig tree represent the individual signs Jesus has been talking about, which are visible indicators that the millennial day is drawing ever closer. And it shall come to pass that he that feareth me shall be looking forth for the great day of the Lord to come, even for the signs of the coming of the Son of Man. And they shall see signs and wonders, he said, for they shall be shown forth in the heavens above and in the earth beneath. And then he named some of these. They shall behold blood, and fire, and vapors of smoke. And before the day of the Lord shall come, the sun shall be darkened, and the moon be turned into blood, and the stars fall from heaven. And then, speaking of the Jews whom he calls the remnant, he said, they shall be gathered unto this place, meaning Jerusalem. And then they shall look for me, and behold, I will come, and they shall see me in the clouds of heaven, clothed with power and great glory, with all the holy angels. And then he warned, he that watches not for me shall be cut off. But before the arm of the Lord shall fall, meaning before his anger is unleashed upon the wicked, an angel shall sound his trump, and the saints that have slept shall come forth to meet me in the cloud. This will mark the beginning of the resurrection in the latter days. Wherefore he said to his disciples on the Mount of Olives, who were contemplating their own deaths, if ye have slept in peace, blessed are you. For as you now behold me and know that I am, even so shall ye come unto me in the resurrection, and your souls shall live, and your redemption shall be perfected, and the saints shall come forth from the four quarters of the earth to meet him in the cloud. Only after this shall the arm of the Lord fall upon the nations, which will look like the following. First, he said, the Lord will set his foot upon this mount, meaning the Mount of Olives in Jerusalem, and it shall cleave in twain, fulfilling a prophecy of Zechariah. And the earth shall tremble and reel to and fro, and the heavens also shall shake. Then the Lord shall utter his voice, and all the ends of the earth shall hear it, and the nations of the earth shall mourn, and they that have laughed shall see their folly, and calamity shall cover the mocker. And as Isaiah prophesied, the scorner shall be consumed, and they that have watched for iniquity shall be hewn down and cast into the fire. And in fulfillment of 2 more prophecies of Zechariah, then shall the Jews in Jerusalem look upon me and say, What are these wounds in thine hands and in thy feet? Then shall they know that I am the Lord. For I will say unto them, These wounds are the wounds with which I was wounded in the house of my friends. I am Jesus that was crucified. I am the Son of God. And then shall they weep because of their iniquities. Then shall they lament because they persecuted their king. After describing these key moments in the redemption of the Jewish people at the time of his second coming, the Lord then addresses the situation of the non-Israelites. And then shall the heathen nations be redeemed. Heathen meaning those who are non-Jewish and non-Israelite. And they that knew no law shall have part in the first resurrection, and it shall be tolerable for them. This appears to be describing the redemption of those who did not have God's law given to them, but who lived well according to the light that they did have. Joseph Smith would later teach that God will judge all men not according to what they have not, but according to what they have. And then Jesus continued, Satan shall be bound, that he shall have no place in the hearts of the children of men. And at that day, when I shall come in my glory, shall the parable of the 10 virgins be fulfilled, a parable he had likely shared with his disciples only moments ago on the Mount of Olives. For they that are wise, he said, and have received the truth, and have taken the Holy Spirit for their guide, and have not been deceived, verily I say unto you, they shall not be hewn down and cast into the fire, but shall abide the day of his second coming. And finally, upon his arrival, the millennial day will dawn for God's people. During this special era, the earth shall be given unto them for an inheritance, and they shall multiply and wax strong, and their children shall grow up without sin unto salvation. For the Lord shall be in their midst, and his glory shall be upon them, and he will be their king and their lawgiver. This is the great day of the Lord, the day of righteousness, the day of redemption, toward which all things are moving. This then is a glimpse of how the restoration of scattered Israel will ultimately come about, in fulfillment of the promises that I have made unto your fathers. In verses 60 to 62, the Lord now speaks again directly to Joseph Smith in the present, saying, Behold, I say unto you, it shall not be given unto you to know any further concerning this chapter, meaning Matthew 24, until the New Testament be translated, and in it all these things shall be made known. Wherefore the Lord continues, I give unto you that ye may now translate it, meaning the New Testament, that ye may be prepared for the things to come. For verily I say unto you, that great things await you. As a result of these few verses, the day after this revelation was given, Joseph shifted his translation efforts from the Old Testament to the New. And from this effort came, among other insights, that portion of our Pearl of Great Price called Joseph Smith Matthew, which is Joseph Smith's translation of Matthew 24, referred to here by the Lord. In verses 63 to 71, the Lord announced that in not many years, church members would hear of wars in their own land of America, which may have been a reference to the soon-to-occur Texas Revolution of 1835-36, the Mexican-American War of 1846-48, and of course the Civil War of 1861-65, among others. It was in light of such imminent wars in America, he explains, that I, the Lord, have said to the church, Gather ye out from the eastern lands, assemble ye yourselves together, go ye forth into the western countries of America, and there call upon the inhabitants of those western lands to repent, and when they do, to build up churches unto me. Then, as the church continues to grow, with one heart and with one mind, they are to gather up your riches, that ye may purchase an inheritance in the west, which shall hereafter be appointed unto you. And it shall be called the New Jerusalem, which will be distinguished as a land of peace, a city of refuge, and a place of safety for the saints of the Most High God. And the glory and the terror of the Lord also shall be there, insomuch that the wicked will not come unto it, and it shall be called Zion. The Lord then further predicts that amidst widespread war, it shall come to pass among the wicked that every man that will not take his sword against his neighbor must needs flee unto Zion for safety. And many of this temperament shall be gathered unto it out of every nation under heaven, and it shall be the only people that shall not be at war one with another. And it shall also be said among the wicked, Let us not go up to battle against Zion, for the inhabitants of Zion are terrible, wherefore we cannot stand. And then finally he predicts, It shall come to pass that the righteous shall be gathered out from among all nations, and shall come to Zion, singing with songs of everlasting joy. Now, whether the Lord here truly envisions the New Jerusalem as a single city in the western United States, which will become the only safe international harbor amidst otherwise universal worldwide war, is unclear. What is clear is that nothing in history has yet come close to approximating a fulfillment of this prophecy. Finally, in verses 72 to 75, the Lord gives a prohibition to not share these things just yet, until it is expedient in me to accomplish this work. And then he concludes this section with a brief prophecy about the fear and trembling that will seize upon their wicked enemies when he comes again. So, to summarize, Doctrine and Covenants 45 is an invitation to church members to learn how all the righteous who have lived throughout various ages of world history will ultimately see the millennial day in their flesh when they are resurrected at Christ's coming, and to consider how the promises made to ancient Israel will finally be fulfilled in the day of their redemption, when they are gathered as a nation from among the dead and the living, together under their divine messianic king to inherit the earth. And to understand that the predicted calamities and tumult of the latter days, though mostly unpleasant, are the very signs that portend the fulfillment of God's promises to his people in the millennial day. And finally, this section helped these 1831 saints better appreciate the broader context into which the Lord would soon command them to build the New Jerusalem out west, as a place of peace, refuge, and safety amidst worldwide war. It's no wonder that this revelation came, as Joseph said, to the joy of the saints, as it reframed their present annoyances from local antagonists within the broader perspective of the ultimate triumph of God's purposes for his people. And on a personal level, as those committed to stand in holy places, to wisely receive the truth, and to take the Holy Spirit for their guide, as section 45 counseled, these saints could bask in the warmth of the Lord's assurances herein of the inevitable fulfillment of his promises. And that's the story of Doctrine and Covenants 45.